cosmicradio.tv. Welcome to Jump Point. We'll talk the gamut of gaming topics. I'm your host, Roberto Vegas, joined by
Bryce Castillo.
This is, I think, the first time we've actually had video.
Yeah, for Jump Point, this is our first video, which means we need graphics, which I just realized I need to make some graphics.
Somebody's going to work into some graphics then soon.
Okay, that's great.
It's okay. I'm glad because you being physically in town, we've always talked about doing some other
living
things.
the dream, Roberto. We're
dream.
living the American dream.
We are living the necro dream.
Apple pie, white picket fence, podcast recording.
Fuck boys get money.
Fuck boys get money. Like, it's happening. It's happening. I'm having it all.
Yeah, totally. Before we kick into our topic today, I'm kind of curious. What have you been playing, man?
What have I been playing? Oh, shit.
Because I've been playing a lot of Smash.
Have you been playing?
I've been playing a
Tell me about
ton
Smash.
of Smash with 3DS. And, oh my God, I'm loving the hell out of it.
I figured I figured that's going to be the consensus for a while.
It's
like
such... Well, because it's what's great about Smash, and I'll maybe one day go into a full review.
Mm-hmm.
It's... The 3DS version is pretty much like... Not squishing what a Wii U version would be and putting it on 3DS, if you will.
Sure.
It actually feels like it's designed for like bite-sized kind of chunks to play. Like nothing, none of the single-player kind of thing takes more than 10 minutes.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, Smash battles can take as long as they want, and you can do that, but nothing ever feels like it overly stays its welcome.
Yeah.
Like it feels like a good mobile experience. Play a game, get into something else, and be done with it.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. I have been playing Wasteland 2.
How is that? I've been hearing a lot of good things about it.
It's right now I'm mixed. I didn't play Wasteland 1, but it definitely feels like XCOM meets Fallout.
Okay.
And it's like not always the greatest of those two things. Like it's a lot of Fallout's kind of shitty inventory system with like some like a really like watery execution of the XCOM tactical battle system. Like it's there's a lot of content there. There's a lot of voiceover, a lot of flavor text, a lot of items, and even though I'm on easy mode and everything still feels like I'm desperately going to die, but like I'm actually progressing pretty easily. So it's an interesting difficulty curve there of like I'm able to have never had an issue clearing anything, but I still feel like with the limited resources that I am in a wasteland where I need to conserve bullets, which is ridiculous to me from an XCOM or a Fallout standpoint.
Right. Well, that's kind of cool, I guess. It seems well worth it for sure.
It is, and I think if you're into Wasteland, the first one, or even Fallout 1 or 2, I think you will get something interesting at it.
I'll definitely check it out. I've been playing a lot of Fallout New Vegas, kind of jamming through that finally. So I'm definitely in that.
How much further have you gotten in that?
I am definitely a lot further. I've gotten I think like 4 or 5 companions. I think I'm like level 20 or 21.
Wow, Roberto, it was only like a week and a half that you started this run.
Well, I mean, because the thing is that I because there's so many side quests in that game. Like I just would hit a side quest and like do it, hit a side quest and do it.
Where are you in the main story then?
I basically in the main story. For those who've not played Fallout New Vegas, is this minor spoilery kind of thing. I have definitely I've already got all the bets set up in terms of what I need to do to get Hoover Dam. Like I'm right now doing the whole Yes Man things in the main quest.
So you're a good ways away.
Yeah. I'm
pretty
good.
in.
I'm definitely a good chunk through the main quest.
Okay.
But there's a ton of side quests, and since there's like the one thing I loved a lot about New Vegas. Which is why I kind of want to play Wasteland, is I love the world. I love the atmosphere. I love the idea of this, the future as if the 50s imagined it.
Yeah.
And then there's like a post-apocalyptic thrown in there, and the whole soundtrack's great, and the vault things always amuse me and sort of, intrigue me enough to like going, I kind of want to explore more. What's over there? And since I took, just because I'm kind of lazy in my maps, I took the, I think it's like either World Explorer perk or like Cartographer perk or whatever it is.
Sure, where you see the whole map.
Exactly, and I see all these points. I'm like, I want to look at all of them, even if I don't have to even be there.
And you've got like the Game of the Year edition. Too,
yeah, so I have all the DLCs. I've got shit to take care of, and it's now that I'm actually playing the game properly. Like I've learned how to spec up my character correctly, and I'm no longer worried. But that's not what we're talking about today.
No. Yeah, today we're talking about Crypt of the Necrodancer from Brace Yourself Games.
Yep.
Also published by Clay.
Mm-hmm.
You can get it on Windows, OS 10, Linux for about $15. And it's a rhythmic roguelike, which is the most interesting combination of words I've ever heard.
What flagged me off, because I got hip to this game, I think it was a little before Fantastic Arcade last year.
Mm-hmm.
It might have, maybe like a month or two, because I was like, it's a roguelike rhythm game? That sounds amazing. And then it was going to be at Fantastic Arcade as like one of the showcase games. Like, I want to play this game. This seems such a bizarre idea for a game.
Right.
The music thing. We do have to state that this is alpha. This is still technically alpha.
Yeah, it is still like being like, there was a patch that was just like last week.
Yeah.
And there isn't a whole lot that we can spoil of the game, but we're definitely going to talk about it as if you've played some of the game.
Correct.
I mean, there aren't really any surprises.
Well, because it's the thing that,
but it's still not done.
No, because the thing is, it's a roguelike game, and
Sure.
that every dungeon or level is randomly generated. You have all these kind of items, and nothing's really ever like explained what these items do. You kind of have to sort of figure it out yourself.
Yeah, there. I feel like there was a little bit of an introductory cutscene.
Yeah, how
like
to
a
play the
little animation.
game. But like for example, you don't know.
No, wasn't there like an animated actual like a?
Oh yeah, explaining what the story, the premise of the game is. The premise of the game is that you are this girl. You're looking, I think, for your like grandfather or father or something like that.
Yeah.
And you've essentially fall into this like gravestone, and this main kind of demon, the Necrodancer, sort of pulls your heart out, and you're technically dead, but you're slave to this beat. Because the way the game works is that as long as you're playing as the main character of the game, you are essentially
every turn that you make, whether it's a move or an attack, takes one beat.
Right.
Which is tough. That is a tough concept to grasp and to like calculate.
For me, it wasn't so much tough as getting into the rhythm, because I think both you and I have played our fair share of Bimani games
Sure.
and beat kind of games and things like that. So you obviously more music person than I am in terms of that. We're used to being in the beat, but not so much in terms of actually like 1, 2, 3 attack and like getting into that rhythm of fighting.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of like JIT processing for like what you actually should be doing, because you like if you don't move, the monsters will still move in their pattern.
Yep.
and you'll lose your combo and all this stuff. I think let's talk about that system.
Yeah, you go for it.
I think it is clever. It really is clever, and I think it's well done. I mean, the music makes it easy to go along with.
Yeah.
And the combo system is really cool. But good goddamn, that's a difficulty curve on a level.
Oh God, it is. I mean, the soundtrack is being done by Danny B, famous for a lot of different other video game soundtracks and
Right.
stuff like that. And going into that game, I didn't quite know what to expect. I didn't know quite how it was going to handle this sort of rogue and stuff. But you are absolutely right. It is a curve like for your ass. Like, the rogue games usually have a pretty steep curve.
But what they make up in that difficulty curve and like sort of just obfuscation of information in a roguelike is counterbalanced by like, take your time, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
whereas this is like, no, you've not only got to keep in rhythm of the song, you want to keep your combo up, but you technically only have as long as the song lasts
Right.
to finish the floor.
That's right. Which is its own because each level is actually pretty well navigable.
Yep.
But it's just that tension. Like you can tell you're on kind of the last sequence here of the song, and I have to get to the other side of the map, and then you start seeing the red ticks come up.
Well, the worst part is when you're not even thinking the other side of the map. You're like, "Fuck, where is the boss? Where is the enemy? Where's the guy I have to kill to open the door to get it?" Because I've had it a couple times where I found
where they're not near the stairs.
No, where I found the stairs,
Right.
And it's like, well, where'd the guy go? Where'd the big dragon? Where'd the big whatever the heck I've got to kill went? And I'll be wandering around. Eventually, I'll find it in time. Yeah. But then my brain will go, well, I got to explore the rest of this map. There's bound to be all sorts of trinkets and stuff like that. And as you go more in depth, you start to learn that there's like what I find really fascinating about the whole roguelike thing is how well they built out kind of the dungeoning system. Mm-hmm. Where, you know, you'll find not only the main store on each floor where this guy has a whole bunch of gold around him and selling like 3 items, but you'll find other kinds of stores hidden in the walls, like ones where you exchange life for an item or other gold for certain special things. And, you know, even like transmogrification happens and things like that. Right.
I mean, how do you feel about those? Like, how do you feel like the shrines where you run into them and then you kind of are presented with stuff?
The shrine, I don't really think I'm really not digging that mechanic, only because a lot of the times I never know, because of the obfuscation of information, what is the more superior item. Like, for the longest time, I didn't quite understand the glass as an item and what its purpose was. Like, the idea that you have this item that does a bunch of damage, but if you miss one attack, congratulations, it's shattered. And you're left with like a glass shard to deal with. And there a lot of these other kind of weird things. Like I never quite know. Like it took me a while to figure out what each of the scrolls did too. Yeah. Because it's never explained what these items are. It's just like, you know, ring of charisma, ring of gold. Like, well, I guess one of them does something good.
Yeah. I mean, that's the roguelike thing. Of
right.
Like, you kind of just have to spend 60 hours and just figure it out or look it up. But when you have the rhythmic element, I think that works counterintuitive to that to that style, only because there's no pausing mid game, so you really only have when you've died, and that's frustrating as hell.
Right, because ultimately, like in a roguelike game, one of the core ideas beyond just sort of these randomly generated sort of things is exploration, is going through the map, is learning these items, is finding these hidden treasures, these like shrines and things like that. But when you have like 3 minutes to do that, it becomes a bit difficult. Thankfully, a lot of the floors are not that big, and I've usually been able to find the full floor in the full song.
Sure.
But it is a bit more tense for sure. I actually enjoyed the system. I as much as I'm complaining about it, I enjoyed that twist. And I think if the soundtrack as it is now hadn't been the way it was, I don't know if I would have enjoyed that rhythm twist. Because I've done some of the custom songs, and I know you've put your own music to it as well.
I've tried it. Yeah, you really need a specific 4 on the floor style song.
Yeah, and I tend to have a lot of that music, but none of it seemed to work well. Like a lot of times, I had to set like in the options, like much like in DDR, you can kind of set like, you know, speed it up, slow it down, to whatever. I'd always have to seem to speed it up. I'd always have to put like the rhythm at like X2 or whatever.
Yeah.
Because it just never seemed to get the beat as fast as I thought the beat was. You know.
Yeah, the custom still kind of doesn't work great. I honestly don't know what the future is for custom on it because it's still in development. But hopefully, I don't even know if anything can be done because it's all about beat detection, and beat detection is its own like alchemy.
Yeah, very very much so. Well, let's kind of go over things that we did like then about the game system.
Sure.
What is it that you enjoyed then of the game?
I think the shovel system, the shovel and the sort of excavating, is actually a nice addition. Just because you have sort of this extended fog of war, so you can actually save time and kind of make your own shortcuts and find a lot of secrets through digging. But again, that's another system where it's like, I kind of wish I knew what I needed to do to get to dig even harder rock.
Me too, because like there'd be times where the thing I hated the most about the digging system, because I'd always go through shortcuts myself, is that I end up more times than not uncovering what I like to call the room of death, where it's like there's the traps that push you one direction, and there's like a trap door on one side, a spike on the other, and you're gonna go through at least all these different. If you go in that room, you're dead.
Right.
You know, you're not moving, you're leaving, and it's it. And I always felt like, well, why is that room there? Like, it always felt like that room being there was such a bizarre thing.
Yeah, I didn't spend a whole lot of time with trap doors, trap rooms, but it feels like that might be something where there's like a risk and reward thing.
Yeah, and I get it, but it was just such a weird. It felt like a weird room to be hidden. Like, it almost felt like we're gonna hide this room because unless you had like one of the special shovels that allow you to dig and move at the same time, you'd always dig on one beat and then move on the other. And when you digged, you'd move in that square that the dirt occupy, and you'd see the room next is like, oh, there's a whole bunch of just death here. Right. I'm gonna not go in that room.
Right.
You know. But I mean, ultimately, I also enjoyed the whole digging system. If nothing more than it gave me another thing to explore. Like, a lot of times you'd see in the dirt like hidden jewels and things like that, and you'd find all these hidden items, hidden treasure chests, and all these kind of cool little things that made me want to wander the level. Like, I never felt that I didn't have a need to keep looking around. Yeah. Which I think is very important in those kind of games, because even though combat's fun, like, once you've killed everything and the music's still going on, you're like, well, let's see if there's anything I missed. Sure. You know.
What? How many did you make it to? Like the second, or
I made it to the second
to
level.
the second zone.
Yeah.
I think that's nice that each of the zones is sort of split off.
Yeah.
But I think that's another instance of sort of being counterintuitive to the roguelike element of like you don't continue when you get the end of the zone. You you go back to the main lobby, which felt almost like a misstep to me.
See, for my version, when I played it, you at least when you
did yours.
Yeah, when I got to the end of the boss of the first level, it
Right.
then go to second zone, and if I died, I could come back to the second zone and resume it.
I feel like that wasn't the way I did it, but that was a while ago when I did
No, and that's the thing we should definitely should point out, and we have
did.
point out it is an alpha. It's constantly being developed still. Like, I had barely got it when it hit Steam, and you had gotten it, I think,
a little
earlier than that. But because of that, a lot of the experiences we're talking about now may not be relevant in about a day or two.
Yeah.
Because they're when I say like they're patching things and adding things, we're not saying that they're fixing bugs. So like they added the monk character, which has like the mechanic of not collecting gold and
getting points when you leave gold on the ground.
Yeah.
And, like adjusting drop odds, the effectiveness of certain items, like major changes are still happening.
Yeah, and it's definitely an interesting thing to play. I think this is actually the first game since Minecraft that I've played that I've had early release code.
Oh, really?
Because I've always liked, I've always understood the idea of an early release, but I just never gotten into one. This is the next one I've gotten into. For me, though, I enjoyed the way it kind of at least chaptered out the concept, because one of my kind of negative things that I don't like about roguelike games, even though it's the basis of roguelike games, is how unforgiving sometimes those games can be. Like, one of the games that I understand why people love it, and I love it on a programmatic level.
Spelunky?
Yes.
Yeah.
Spelunky is such a unforgiving game for me.
Yeah. But like and so Spelunky gets away with it because it's pretty traditional.
Yeah.
I mean, platforming in roguelike is not a major stretch. So it's pretty easy and I think Spelunky can be short if like you're good at it
yes.
But man, Necrodancer, it's a little too weird to be as tough as it is, but that's what people want.
Yeah, no, and I get that. And I think for me, it's the fact that it is weird that catches me. Like, that second zone,
jungle zone,
is like a jungle zone, and like even the music changes up. Like, I think the second one's a bit like it has a bit more of a funkier sound to it. And because of that, like, it changes up the dynamic of the game, because the first one's a pretty easy rhythm to detect, pretty easy one to do. Yeah. But it, the second zone's like slow down the rhythms a bit and play with that. Even the boss levels are a bit funky in the way they've done and their rhythm and things like that. We didn't point out about this, but what is your thoughts about the whole monster system, about the idea that all these monsters follow a very predictable pattern?
I mean, I think that is one of the strengths of the rhythmic element, in that you don't need to consider what an AI is going to do. You just kind of need to know where you are in the pattern.
Right.
So in that, I think it's actually a really good melding of the two. But what makes it difficult is each monster has its own pattern.
Yeah.
So the green slimes just stay in place. The blue slimes go back and forth. The zombies, they go back and forth against a wall or something, right? The bats go in an L shape.
Yep.
Those are the only ones I remember, but there's so many more monsters. It's another tough thing, but I like that they've got the sort of compendium of beasts. It's nice that they recognize that is a very unique system and kind of a lot to take in without some sort of help.
Yeah, because it definitely, like at the beginning of the game, the tutorial, our main character mentions, what did my grandfather say? Oh yeah, every enemy moves in a predictable kind of way, and it was like a really kind of unique way of thinking about that. Because usually in those kind of games, they have AI that are a bit trickier, that have certain,
That will go right after you.
Right, exactly. But these have a bit of a rhythm, or they do some type of musical thing. Actually, I really dug a lot of the musical aesthetics of the game that they would do.
Yeah.
Like I think on like the second level, like the mushrooms would burp on beat because that's their second attack. But because it was rhythm, they do that. The zombies did kind of the skeletons did some type of weird little shimmy.
Yeah.
And then like some of the the bosses, like the Minotaur, like mini bosses, like the Minotaur would have like harps in them. And even in the jungle, they had, I think, the one of the harder enemies as the boss, sort of this kind of banshee that would just silence the music for about a brief second every time you hit it.
That's cool.
Yeah, no, and that's what I liked.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the game, what makes it strong is that they really do take that musical element. Like if you keep the effect on, like as you're building up your combo, like everything gets all disco-y and like the panels light up and shit like that. I think it's really a really cool aesthetic. And I think that's what I think the strength of it is, because for me, I've always been on the fence with roguelike games in general. I like them, but I hate the difficulty of them because I get frustrated, I get angry, and I'm like, well, just rage quit.
Yes.
But this game has enough style to it that it's keeping me in.
Okay, I could see that. There's definitely a lot of visual charisma there. I kind of the 8-bit sort of looks nice.
Yep.
Not really necessary.
No, I think that's just it's pixel easy.
You're gonna do it.
Pixel art's easy to do, and a lot of people are doing it.
Okay.
I'm saying
I'm not going to co-sign that, but okay.
I'm saying like people are doing it. We could say that.
Okay.
But I prefer it. But then again, like we're always on ends when
it's I have a complicated
it's okay.
relationship with it.
Let's talk a little bit about the unlock system. How did you like the idea of having to gather like diamonds and stuff to like unlock all these kind of cool things?
I do not like that it resets.
I hate that too.
It would be a perfectly decent system if you could bank the diamonds.
Yes.
And if the rewards cost more. Because at least then you can work toward part of the problem is then you just get people who will just do the first few levels where it's easy to get 3 diamonds.
Yep.
So it kind of it rewards merit, and I understand the thinking on that, but fuck.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's so hard because like you start to realize like as you run through the game that as you get further and unlock more stuff, that if your run didn't give you 4, you ain't unlocking shit.
Right.
And that was frustrating as hell.
And really, once you get past the first few levels, you stop thinking about diamonds.
Yeah.
Because they are less common and just other shit is happening. But it's annoying. It is annoying. I understand it. I get it. But please.
I agree.
I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna.
No,
try to do
I will
hypotheticals,
say
but
I think the better unlock system that they had was sort of the how you unlock the other people in the dungeon, because we're mentioning that there's like these. We mentioned the whole beast compendium thing that they had.
Yeah,
yeah. Then
that's
actually unlock like these sort of extra dungeon people, I guess, for lack of better words.
Have you unlocked any of the other?
Yeah,
ones?
I have actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I unlocked the Merlin shop owner. I unlocked the beast guy, and I unlocked a boss guy actually.
Really?
Yeah.
So you get those with buying the gold keys
So
and unlocking.
or you may find the, or sometimes you have to find the gold key.
Okay.
It's either or.
I know
randomly-
it's told me to buy the gold key.
Yeah, it's either way. Like in other words, it'll say do X.
Sure.
Get me get me out of
So
here.
that's it.
Right.
Okay.
And once you've done that, like they become the thing. I think the hardest part, the one I don't like so much now, is the boss one, because what the boss guy will do, unlike like the beast guy, like every time you fought a beast, it'll be there and things like that. The boss one's way more annoying, because not only do you have to find this guy, not only do you have to fight the boss at the mini boss at least once, but then you gotta go and find diamonds to then unlock the ability to then practice on that one mini boss.
That's interesting. That's
Yeah.
an interesting thing. So all of these unlocks on the sides of the hall, those are all shops.
I guess they
So
are.
far, they have been.
They've been shops, or they've been trainers, or they've been something. They've
That's
been some
interesting.
extra thing. I think there are 3 shops that you can unlock
There's
so
the
far.
3 at the top. Yeah.
Right. That's all. And then I have the Beastmaster, and then like the Boss Master, or whatever they can call it.
Okay. That's okay. We're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, because and even with among those 3 shop guys, you then spend diamonds to unlock stuff, and it's there's a lot of stuff. That's the one thing I noticed, that there's a lot of things in there. There's a lot of there's different. There's you have your sort of common items, your broadswords and things like that, but they then all have sub modifiers of what they're made of, whether they're blood or glass or emerald or something like that.
Right.
I'm with you with the diamond thing. I wish that they had made some type of way to continue it, because
Even
that is-
just like Rogue Legacy does it nicely by allowing you to take a penalty. Like as you upgrade in Rogue Legacy, you can actually bring down the fee to start a new round. So instead of losing everything, you can only lose like 60%. Of what you give to the of what you actually just have to start over. So it's at least there's some sort of attempt there.
There is, and even then,
it's just tough.
Even then, its upgrades are a bit more forgiving. Whereas with I'm saying this is like in Crypt, a lot of the things that carry over are things like, oh, you're gonna get a red chest every run at least, or this item's gonna be available in the store, or you have now 5 hearts. Whereas in Rogue's Legacy, you start unlocking abilities, things that'll carry over as sort of tangible goods.
Yeah. Is there anything else?
I think we might have covered a lot of it. I think maybe kind of as a final thought.
What do you think? Oh, actually. What do you think about the key combo system for using items and for spells and things like that?
I think if I had a dance pad, that'd be more intuitive, but it is so bloody crazy on a D-pad, on like a game pad.
Oh, well, you're not supposed to play it on a D-pad.
No, I know that. I realize this is a dance pad game.
It's like it's a keyboard. Well, I mean, you can play it on a dance pad, but like it's for keyboards. You shouldn't be playing it on a 360 controller.
Well, maybe I tend to play this. This is the area you see right here. Maybe this is where I play my games.
Okay. That's okay.
But I agree. I agree with you.
You should be playing it on a keyboard.
But that being said, even on a keyboard, it felt a bit weird, and only because if I think of my dance gaming kind of thing, like playing Stepmania on a keyboard always felt like I was doing it wrong.
Yeah, I mean Stepmania on a keyboard is its own. It's a different experience.
No, and I get that. But that being said, I think that's the only way you could have done this kind of game.
Oh yeah.
And make it like work out if you want to add a D-pad element to it. The ability of like, we'll just hit diagonal, do this, do that. It's hard because I would forget
to use your items in
to use my
box.
items. That's what I would happen. I'd forget to use them. I'd forget that they're there because I'm so focused on this game. I forget, oh, wait, there's a side thing over here that has
Sure.
all these kind of spells and
Well,
abilities and shit.
that's just what you do with roguelikes. You spend money on items you will not use.
Yeah, because there'd be all these things that I'd collect because I never know what anything does. And I'd be like, well, this seems like a cool thing. I wonder what this torch does. What's this compass do? What's a holster do? I made 2 weapons. Why would I want to have 2 weapons? You know, it becomes a sort of almost figuring out the puzzle. Like I wish in the game that there, and maybe they will develop this obviously, that there was almost like an item compendium that if as you find items that you could find out what they mean and what
Hey,
they do.
there could be.
You know,
There might already be.
I mean, there's wikis out there. That's what's helped me.
no,
out.
I mean we haven't unlocked.
Yeah.
all of the
That's a good
shops
point. That's a
that are
good point.
available.
They might be there.
I mean, you found one for mini bosses. I figured the mini bosses were part of the monster index.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good point. I guess we don't know. I mean, that's the thing is that
Who knows?
Who
Not the people
knows?
talking about it.
No. Well, I don't even think people out there truly even know everything because again, this game like we talk about it now it's like 0.30 something. Like that's the
Sure.
alpha version. I think that's done. And by the time that, you know, in a month's time, it could be like 0.6. It could be like 1.0. It could be final code.
Sure.
But I think as kind of my final thought of this game, I'm definitely going to keep playing it because it's bizarre enough to work. I really hope the beat detection kind of gets better, or I find music that works out better, just because I like that idea.
I'm gonna say I would not get your hopes up. I mean, it seems like it goes through.
Yeah.
It seems like it goes through its own separate process that it's then not going to spend time to develop.
I hope that they unlock kind of like what the Stepmania people do is where you make your own kind of files and sort of
Jesus.
not do your own beat. Well, because like there's gonna be those assholes that will not assholes, but the good people that are going to make the
Sure.
they're gonna make the hardcore step files for like here's the version for Sandstorm or
like
whatever.
a curated
Exactly, where they've got the beat down perfect and
maybe,
stuff like that.
but I don't know.
Regardless of that, sir, would you recommend the game at least? I mean, it's stated it's in now. I mean, obviously it's alpha, and it's hard to recommend an in progress game.
Yeah, I Crypt is a perfectly fine game, and I think it's got its ups, it's got its downs, but if you're going to, I've had discussions with friends about like, dude, what if they made like a musical RPG?
Yeah,
And like the idea always comes across as like the Final Fantasy theater rhythm game, which is just a music game.
Yep.
Where at least Crypt of the Necrodancer is a little more driven towards being not just a reskinned music game.
Yeah. For me, the closest that ever got to music in an RPG was Mother 3. It would actually do kind of a lot of these weirder things. So for me, that idea wasn't unfamiliar. What was the unfamiliar element was the idea of the roguelike experience and how that works out and things like that. And ultimately, I would say if you're into roguelike games, grab this game. And for those who
I think it's it is a hard sell for music.
It is, and that's the
fan.
thing I'm trying to make. If you're a guy like me that was intrigued by it being a music based game, stay away.
Yeah, no, this is definitely more like we were like kind of talking like when we were talking about Professor Layton and Phoenix Wright, like that is kind of a game for people who like Layton Wright games,
right?
Or like Layton games, not so much Phoenix Wright games.
Yeah, exactly.
My own opinion was this is a game for people who like really love roguelike games, not so much if you are like super into dance.
Like you almost have to be like this is great if you prefer both those formats. Because it does its best to meld them together.
Yeah,
but it's still more roguelike than it is rhythm based. That's for sure. And if you really just want that, like, if you're like, I hate roguelike games, I don't like the idea of the difficulty factor, stay away. There are far more other rhythm games you can play, more music games that are out there too. For that. Well,
I think that's it.
I think that's it. This is our first video. So I think
That's right.
This is pretty crazy.
It's easy.
This is easy. Where can people find you, sir?
You can find me on Twitter at Brycas, BRYCAS, and check out the website, neshcomplex.com, NESHCOMPLEX.com. Working on a new music project.
Yeah.
I know I said on the last 8-Bit Life that I was like pooped out on music projects. Nope, I've got like 3 in the chamber right now.
And you've got something you're working on. I know you can't talk about it. I think it's in beta right now. Maybe alpha is a more appropriate term. It starts with a P, ends with an oddcast.
Oh yeah. Oh right. Another thing. I'm working on a really cool podcast, but I'm not even going to talk about it.
No, that's why. What I'm saying is there's stuff in the pipeline.
There's
stuff coming down, and you're
there's no end to my to-do list.
Which is good, and that's great because I can't wait to hear.
You're excited about it.
I'm excited.
You're especially excited.
I'm super excited about it.
What about you?
I love the idea. Mia, you can catch me. I'm at Vincent404 there on the Twitters. You want to comment on this podcast? Let us know what you thought about Necrodancer and all that fun jazz. Head to our website, cosmicradio.tv/jumppoint. There you'll find links to show notes, our Twitter account at JumpPointPod, and of course other previous episodes and other things we do as well on the network, such as my so-called 8-Bit Life. So that's it for today. So tune in next time, and as always, Sproy. This has been a CosmicRadio.tv production. For more awesome shows, head on over to our website, CosmicRadio.tv.